My father said one time long ago, he said, Charlie Boy is not my son. I wouldn't be Charlie Boy if I had to listen to every trash that's being said about my creation. My mom was a good witch because she saw all of this coming.
People wonder whether Charlie Boy is currently married.
No, Charlie Boy can't be married. He's not responsible enough. It didn't make me marry my wife because she get good bum bum. She get better breast. She was beautiful, pretty. This one could fit showbiz. Everything about showbiz. They should know that if I'm gay and if that was my sexual preference, I'm not going to hide about it. Damn, I won't.
Area father. You know, I don't know how to say this, but I'll be as honest and factual as possible. I followed you since I was a kid. In other words, I was, your name was one of the names of my young years, and I have been fascinated by you. I mean, just growing up, because you always stood out. You were different, and sometimes I couldn't understand it. There was a time I felt that you had something like a mohawk or something like that many years ago. A lot of hair. And so I just wanted to put that out to say just how much of a delight it is for me to sit down in a conversation with you for the very first time after so long a time of just admiring what you do from afar. Such a fine pleasure.
Yeah, and I'm sure we're going to have a great time.
No doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt. No doubt. The first question was that, and I need to get me one of these shirts. This is Charly Boy Foundation. So I'd like to start with the Charly Boy Foundation, where how it started, the why, where we are now, and what you're looking ahead to do with it.
I don't know, but a lot of people were aware past 4 years what I've been through, my challenges. I was on national television and crying out to people and saying, man, I can't help me. My thing not to walk again. You understand? And the Charly Boy Foundation started because of all the challenges and the experiences I went through, fighting the first stage of cancer, prostate cancer, and somehow I managed to come out of it. And it was dictated on time. So I felt I had that obligation to go out and do some kind of advocacy, because men are really going through a lot of stuff. And hence we now, sorry, I'm trying to wake up. It's not easy for me now. So that was how the original idea to sort of, take the message to the street and do a lot of advocacy, for people men who been going through that same problem. And, because men have been lied to all their lives, men don't cry, if you're a man, whatever you're going through, you better know how to keep it to yourself, because that makes you a man, and so on and so forth. So there's been, the season of men not being open about what their challenges, especially medical challenges, are. So we decided that, okay, Actually, it wasn't my original idea. Somebody pushed me, nudged me along that line. That listen, rather than sitting and criticizing the government and doing this and that, why don't you do what speaks to your soul? And I know you're a man of the people. Start this foundation and try to educate men on what they should do when they're faced with this kind of challenges. And that's exactly what I did. The Charly Boy Foundation been on for 2 years, but we've made such wonderful success in the area of advocacy. More people are now aware, and it's not like a taboo like it used to be before. Men are more willing to speak up and talk about their problems to their fellow men. Okay, and I remember the first few years that this started, I wasn't getting any sleep at night because men and thousands and thousands of men will call me. And the most thing that warmed my heart was, the way they were so open. I had to ask at one point, why do you have such infinite trust in me? You don't even know me. These are strangers I'm talking to that I've never met. Most of them I've never met, except on the phone. And they said, we trust you. We know you tell us the true position, and we believe in you. So I'm happy that somehow through my own personal challenges that I'm adding some kind of value. What we actually do in the Charly Boy Foundation is we believe prevention is better than cure. So the earlier you check on yourself, the earlier you make that a habit, the better for you, because it costs less to see how it's going south than to have the operation. To have an operation like that will cost you more than about 12, 15 million, So that's how I arrived here.
As we were talking, it literally got me thinking, and I was just trying to check what the prevalence of prostate cancer is, and it is indeed scary.
You can say that again.
I don't know. I saw something like 1.4 million new cases every year, and that in some countries, it's such a scary world, and most people don't even know this, and sometimes prostate cancer leads to other complications as well if it's not detected early. When I lost my dad, he had myeloma, multiple myeloma. But the first question we were asked is whether he had prostate cancer. That it's a follow-up cause, especially if not detected in time, which in itself is a cancer of the blood. So again, I want to say well done for what you are doing, raising awareness and all of that, and the response you are getting already.
Wonderful.
I don't know how much publicity
Wonderful.
you give it.
Well, it depends on where you're looking at. My foundation has been endorsed by the likes of Obasanjo, the likes of Dangote, all this, and even ordinary people too, and so and the sponsorship drive so far has been, I feel warm about it because it shows me that people are listening, people are finally trying to figure something out, and they know that I can run this by myself, and so everybody wants to chip in as much as they.
I wonder how you discovered that, how you were able to detect. I mean, you did say, was it...
I'm a health freak. I'm always checking on myself. Even if I get a mosquito bite, I go investigate what in that mosquito, the kind of blood it has,
where the mosquito is coming from.
Yeah.
And what his intentions are.
And I'm always doing, going for a thorough body review, checkup. I'm always fussing about my health. And maybe plus the fact that, my best company are young people.
Yeah.
Maybe that explains my youthfulness and my usefulness.
75.
Who talks so?
I can't believe it.
But who talks so
can't
now?
believe it. Whatever they say, I don't believe none of it.
Neither do I, because I don't feel my age at all. I really don't. Of course, I introduced you to my grandson. Sometimes I'm confused. I don't know whether to call him my son or my grandson. So, gee, when did I start?
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel like a Methuselah anyways.
Yeah.
Especially when you say things like when I was young.
Yeah, when I was young, and I'm not that young anymore because I'm already in my 50s. So
I know.
Yeah, so to be, and again, so apart from it, it took me a long time to even do the connection with the name, the Oputa name.
Okay.
To connect you to the great legal luminary. It took me a while. I was probably a young man when I was like, "Oh, hey, Papa, be that?" It's like, how this kind man born this guy is stubborn picking, But again, I mean, you've been in the nation's consciousness that long, and not many people can say that. And I mean, at the risk of maybe whether some people will consider it blasphemous, for me, from where there is Fela and then there is Charly Boy for me. I mean, that's how highly, because it's not just the art, it's also the activism. It's the social justice warrior kind of nature. But we'll come back to that. Let me stick with the foundation and this thing we're talking about, prostate cancer. Some people tend to think it's not all that. That it's not. Some people say things that tend to belittle the enormity or the seriousness of prostate cancer. But when you faced it, you really learn more about it. How worried should men really be?
Well, if you're a health freak like I am, and you're always fussing about, your physical well-being, there's no need to worry, because it's not like the same perception we had when first AIDS came. It was like a death sentence. This is not a death sentence, as long as you discover it on time, as long as you do the right stuff, as long as you have a healthy kind of lifestyle. There's no need to worry. I mean, but you see, because men are not taught to be that open, they're very secretive. They want to, what do they say?
Appear
chested, appear strong, so it keeps a lot of men in hiding, and that is not too good. Okay? You don't allow things to get to a critical condition before you take action, and so it depends on one's attitude. And I thank God that I have an attitude that says, always check on yourself, always, because this is the only body I live in. So it has to be sacred for me.
No doubt.
Yeah.
I mean, just talking about the facade of masculine strength, and which is, I mean, men are strong. People generally are supposed to elicit strength, and but you know, I've seen situations even in cases of mourning. Somebody loses their loved one, their father or their mother, and everybody's crying, and they are telling the son, "A man you be now, why are you behaving like a woman? You know, be strong, you know, why are you crying?" and all of that. The psychology of it all, it always looked like that it was a show of strength.
But I'm a crybaby. I am, really. Anything that affects me negatively, I cry. You know? I cry in public. I cry when I'm alone. You know, I'm not into that trip. I'm not into that headspace. Oh, na Manchester. No, if something affects me, I go cry. You understand? You know, and I'm always sharing my experiences, especially with young people. So, and the vibes that I get back, you know, people think, you know, maybe it's because of one thing or the other. I'm doing Botox or I've gone to do surgery, and that's why, you know, it's like I get younger and younger, you know, year in, year out. But I think it's what comes from within my spirit that people see. And it's very boyish. It's very youthful. You understand? You know. And I don't have problem with being my authentic self.
What is your authentic self?
I call it like I see it. I say it like I feel it. You know, not a lot of people can do that. You know, someone said, that's very courageous. I say, yeah, but it's not that. It's the absence of fear, you see. Because you're courageous don't mean you don't fear anything. No. It's being able to march along and say, I'll see it to the end, to the conclusion.
You know, I've heard all sorts of descriptions of Charly Boy over and I can understand that the bulk of it will come from a place of ignorance, and people pretend they know things that they really do not do. Amongst the things we've heard peddled in the news is, oh, Charly Boy is now you know. On the one hand, people see a guy, now Dogu Ibi, strong guy, you know, they fear anybody. But there are people who say he's rather effeminate. There are people who suggest that, Charly Boy is gay now. You know, do you get those kind of, and how do you deal with those, and what do you say to those?
I wouldn't be Charly Boy if I had to listen to every trash that's being said about my creation as Mr. Oputo. You understand? Everything I do or I ever did was intentional. For me, I believe that everybody has the yin and the yang. A guy has the yin and the yang. It depends on what comes out. As a creative, you know I have all these different personalities within me. I have Linda, which is my feminine side. I have Charly Boy, which is the, like Obasanjo would say, the Jagra man. Yeah. I have the area father, somebody who's from all his life experiences can sit, understands the pain of young people, their lingo, what they're going through, and how to mentor them. You understand? Then, of course, I have my spiritual side. I call Ududubariba. Ududubariba is my spiritual essence. From where, and I think that's what I got from my mom. I used to call my mom the good witch. My mom was a good witch. Maybe those ones where they fly the bitch for Benio. Yeah, I say a good witch because she saw all of this coming. Okay, and that was why she she helped me in my case, with him and his husband, my father. They say, take it easy. This guy, let's give him a chance now. You understand? So yeah, I don't feel offended if people misunderstand all of that. I'm the one who is pushing the button. I'm the one who is making people think in all kinds of direction. But what I can't, for the life of me, can't imagine, they should know that if I'm gay, and if that was my sexual preference, I'm not going to hide about it. Damn. I won't.
I'll be surprised.
Yeah. I'll come out and claim it, But no.
People also say you like women well.
Oh, yeah, that I do. Nobody said they think. They are right there. I don't lie you now. I don't lie. Yes, I like women well. That's why I married 4 times. Is that why I'm married 4 times? No.
That's what people say. Like a woman does not necessarily mean you have to marry. But this is interesting. What are your thoughts on so what do you make of cross-dressers into these days? Especially on social media.
I'm one as Linda. Whatever you need to do to get your jigging on, you do it. As long as there's a good side to it, and people are learning something positive from it. But these days, because everybody's on the fast lane, a lot of people want to just make the money. Not that they believe in that thing that they're doing. They need the money, and I can understand that too. It's just like we're in the show business. People will now say things like, the lyrics of our songs are not like what it used to be, so philosophical, so deep, so, in the past. And I say,
it's all vibes.
Okay. Apart from the fact that it's all vibes, you take and pick, you choose and pick what you want. If you want very meaningful lyrics, there are people you listen to.
Yeah.
But this is called show business. What about the business? Not be we play music in the old way, we play for plate of rice and, it wasn't about the money. Now it's about the money. Now you hear what young artists are making, and you can see it. So, different strokes for different folks.
I agree. Reminds me, Sonny Neji was sitting down here. My last, he was the last person I had a conversation with, and he obviously echoed these sentiments. You have to understand your market and adapt to it and respond to it. Because you talked about, how many times you've been married, people wonder whether Charly Boy, oh, by the way, before I go there, is Charly Boy radically different from Charles Oputa?
Before Nkona, my father...
Is there a version of you that in suit and tie?
See, my father said one time long ago, he said, Charly Boy is not my son. And people took it the other way around, Mumu fool everywhere now. Mumu fool Africa. Charly Boy is not my son. Oh, so Charly Boy na bastard, maybe. Or maybe he don't know him, Papa. But actually what he said at the time was, Charly Boy is a creation of my son, Charles Oputa. Charles Oputa is my son, not Charly Boy.
Makes
So
sense.
sometimes it's hard for people to differentiate that. There are two personalities.
And because you obviously had you had another relationship with the family that was not necessarily Charlie Boy. There was
Of
Charles,
course.
and sometimes maybe when it warranted it, you had to be Charlie Boy.
Oh, yeah. You see, the beauty of all these personalities that I carry is that everybody know when to talk and when not to talk. Okay? We might be having a clear, simple discussion right now. Charlie Boy will want to jump into the scene. Or maybe it's Odudu Bariba. Or maybe it's even Linda. Yeah? So, but I'm glad that, I can, the dexterity with which I manage all this, if not somebody else, if I don't go Colo now, if I don't mental now, it's not easy.
Ever had to deal with, body, is it dysmorphia or dysmorphia, whatever they call it, or sometimes get a little confused about which is the dominant personality at this given time? Do you sometimes deal with that? Like, I want to be this, but I am being pushed into being that.
All the personalities that live in this house, for the individual personalities that live here, when a matter comes up, we know who to send. You understand? And it's something that flows naturally. I'm not faking it, because who I am at the time is who I am.
Yeah.
Who is the preferred person to be in that environment. And that's why you can see me in the boardroom and see me for Motor Park.
Yeah.
It's all the same thing, But it's a different attitude in the boardroom.
Tell me about Odudu Bariba.
Odudu Bariba is my spiritual side. I have a very deep spiritual side. I've transversed all kinds of religion, but I was a born Catholic. From there, I think one of my sons converted me to Buddhism, Hare Krishna, traversed the Eastern religion, Now, I don't even know what I am. I'm not a religious person, and that's for sure. I'm not. I can't even please myself properly. I don't even know. And that's the truth.
Yeah, you do accept that religiosity is not always spirituality.
No.
necessarily.
I think I'm more of a spiritual person than a religious person. I think I can say that for myself.
So let me ask you this question that I wanted to ask you before. People wonder whether Charlie Boy is currently married.
No.
They don't. You're not.
No, Charlie Boy can't be married. No. He's not responsible enough. I got you.
I knew you were messing with me. I'm sure.
No, I wasn't messing with it. That's the honest truth.
Yeah.
Charlie Boy can't be married.
And yet you've been married 4 times.
No, yet I've kept one marriage for 47 years.
It's fantastic. The last I checked
Not 40.
The last I checked it was 46. It's now 47.
Yeah. For 47 years, I've been married to one person.
Lady D.
So how do you explain that for okay, you say Charlie Boy. I seem like woman rich. How do you explain that? Staying in one place for 47 years.
Who is Lady D married to? Is it Charlie Boy or Charles or
Mr. Putter.
Mr. Putter? Oh,
yeah.
Okay, that's a
But
revelation.
she's flirting with Charlie Boy. I mean, that girl has been flirting with Charlie Boy. I know.
All those years when I was much younger, my teenage years, my 20s, I used to admire the two of you on the bike.
Me too.
That was the image of Charlie Boy and Lady D that I had growing up, like biking. When I during my broadcast career, which is over 3 decades now, when I joined OGBC2, what I really liked about all the imaging that we had, the sweepers and all of that, was the one you did. It was a slightly musical thing that Charlie Boy and Lady D. It was, that is still in my head till tomorrow. Fantastic. And you are pretty self-deprecating. You laugh at yourself more than you.
A lot.
You have a good sense of humor, and you and Lady D do it too. You said all sorts of things about.
Let me share something very personal.
Oh, yeah, now.
Me and Lady D, we're like Tom and Jerry in the house. So we've been fighting about everything, But when she's around, sometimes, because she really doesn't like Lagos, and I really no longer like Abuja. So in there, on Abuja, me and the Lagos. But when we do come together, like for the Christmas haul, and we get together, we try and do things that we both love to do. And which is sometimes in creating all these skits, keeping people entertained. We love that. And then some of my children will call me, who really knows how it really is with us, And they will say things like, you guys are pretending. Say, pretending for what? That thing that you saw us do, we like to do it, And it keeps us warm together because there are things that we both love to do, and we're doing them. And they'll say, well, we think you guys are pretending, because how can you fight so much and be lovey-dovey all over the television? So you people are putting up an act. I say, we better put up that act too, because there's money to be made here, number one. Number two, it helps us deal with all our challenges as a married couple. Because it's not easy, And I can't say my marriage is made in heaven. There's nothing like that. Marriage is about management. How you manage yourself, the kind of discipline that you have, the kind of, permit me to say, upbringing. I saw my parents together forever and ever, even though I felt my father was a player. But he had tremendous respect for my mother. And my mother was a no-nonsense person, wouldn't take any crap from anybody. And that's how come I've also learned to respect women who are strong. Okay? Because I saw the way my mother dealt with my father. It was like butter and bread, though. So, it's not easy. It's not easy surviving the same smell, the same person for, You two must have made up your mind that we both die here. I think that's what I have with my wife. We both die here, Because now the other one where I could go marry, how am I sure go worse past the one I already have, So, yeah.
So when a child comes and says, or a cousin, a nephew, or a niece comes and says, I'm getting married, what is your usual reaction?
My usual reaction, if they're below 30, I'm not in full support. Why? Because I don't think at 30 years we still even know what we really want in a woman. And I think most of the time we marry for all the wrong reasons. What did make me marry my wife? Because she get good bum bum. She get better breast. She was beautiful, pretty. This one could fit showbiz, everything about showbiz. Is that a reason to marry somebody? Because they are fine. What if they are no longer fine as they age? What if something damages that thing? So there is nothing else to hold on to. Is that what we're saying? And I don't think you really get to know what you want in a person until you are like 35, 40, if you get sense of. So, young people marrying, a little, not for that, because I married at a young age too. I was foolish, I was stupid, I was irresponsible. Yeah, I may have thought that I know what I want, but no, I don't think so. Now this my present marriage that I'm in now, that is teaching me all I need to learn about, two people living together. Like as I said, is if we are not in agreement that we all die here, what's the point, really?
Pretty interesting. I'm hearing you, and I'm just thinking of, taking you a little back to what Charles was like as a young boy, secondary school days or something. When did your self-awareness, your consciousness begin to get really, really strong, that you're like, maybe this is, or who were you at home? Radical, stubborn.
I was a spoiled brat at home. As a teen at the time, I was just a spoiled brat. Whenever I wanted anything, I'll scream loud enough and 9 out of 10, I'll get it. So I had a room filled with toys. And then, even as young as I was at that time, I liked to keep the company of, like, my father's driver, the washerman children, and all of that. But my father thought there was something wrong with me, why I didn't appreciate his colleagues.
More bourgeois.
Yeah, because I was always hanging around with people that I don't even know and bringing them to the house. That really upset them a whole lot, because they would ask me, who is that person? I said, I don't know. How can you not know and you bring somebody into the house? You understand? So the first time I went to visit the driver's children, who were my playmates at the time, and I saw 3 people in a room. That messed with my head, because I thought every child had his own room and his own toys. They didn't have toys. Okay, so, and from that moment that I discovered that, no toy lasted in my house any longer, because I was always giving them out. I was a very playful kid. All I wanted to do was just play. Leave me the hell alone. Let me just play. That was the first time something shifted in me. And then after the war, after the Civil War, this, my father's driver's son, he had a bad leg. Okay, one was longer than the other. So, it was after the war that this crusade really started to gain traction. So I thought, my little self, that if I take this guy to the crusade, maybe he will be healed. So I snuck him out of the house. We went to the crusade. We came back. That guy was not healed. That damaged me a bit. And I saw how people can use fear to control people and use all kinds of manipulation. Okay? When I went into secondary school, I was a part-time native doctor. This is serious. This is all in my book. Because intentionally, I wanted to create. I was a strange one, sometimes, because I remember many times my parents had taken me to see doctors. My mother has taken me for prayers. They thought something was not...
Yeah, exorcism.
Yeah.
It's as a spirit.
Yeah. I remember at the time, especially in my secondary school years, that was when the what they call it, this challenge cup that they play in school.
Yeah. Yes, principles.
Yeah. And that's how come some member, it was in Holy Ghost College, some older boys and the younger ones, I was in that group. As we pack ourselves, go see the biggest so-called native doctor in Owerri. Yeah. We went there. This is an experience I must share with you. We went there. I had stolen my mother's ring and I was wearing it. Yeah. When we got there with about 7, 8 other, most of them were in a higher class, we went to go to find out whether we could win the match, the forthcoming match. As we got there now, so after the man took us into a room, the only thing in that room was like a small cubicle with dirty cloth where they take. Now there the man, they stay inside. And then one pot at one side of the room. That was all that was in the room. So as the guy was talking to us from the inside, he now specifically asked me to go drop the ring that I stole from my mother in a pot. I said I wasn't going to do that. So my schoolmates became agitated. Yeah, we're in a juju mansa, so we better not. Let's do. Yeah. So I could see they were visibly upset, so I had to drop the ring in the pot. It was after now the man finished distributing grades to us. We didn't come for grades. We wanted to know whether we were going to win the cup. Yeah? So when I now came out of that room, I knew that, I said, this man, proper fake, holy barrow, this one has no powers. So I was about to pull the biggest stunt of my life at the time. I went back to the room, brought the pot to the courtyard and smashed it on the ground.
No way.
And then I saw, luckily, what was in the pot? Just mud and water. Luckily, I found the ring, put it back. I said, guys, let's go. Everybody was uneasy. Even the native doctor was by the side watching us and asking us, are we sure we are going to get to the school? Fear catch me, I'm not going to lie, I'm not killing away. Fear catch me small. I was asking myself, this thing what I don't do, I hope the consequences is what I can manage. So by the time we got to the school now, and everything was all right, from the next day, there's nobody in that school who no respect me, who no fear me. They said this man challenged the biggest native doctor. Me, I can't form native doctor myself. You understand?
Yeah.
So they when
now
the
power
match,
jump power.
when we start to play the match, we won all our match. Now we carry the cup, and then they say na me do am. Are you following this story? I was the richest student in that school. Because people were coming to me to give me money. Make I pray, make them pass. They never ask me when I don't pass my own. Can you imagine the stupidity of all of that?
And you were there cashing out.
Oh, yeah. So, why do you think I went and I studied mass comm? I'm a button pusher. I've said that before. Mm-hmm. So, I know how to work on people's psyche. And that is something I bring from the past, way back.
That's an interesting story. Yeah. And that thing you said, young people today, especially footballers, will find it hard to believe that back in the day, we want to play ball
without jazz.
It's not possible. They will take the team somewhere, and you who refuses to go, you will be responsible for. I grew up in Ibadan. They used to call it Singbere. The juju man will even use like some blade or contraption
and cut you.
This. Yeah, cut sometimes your feet. They will do all of those things, and
I have all those things all over my body.
And back in the day, so and because I used to refuse. And because of that, half the time I could not make the team. I could not, you understand? I'll be like, nah, once you, nah.
That's why, my brother, I don't believe in all this jazz thing. I don't believe that anybody can hold back your destiny. I don't believe those kind of crap. I know they believe, say, somebody do somebody something. You don't collect your destiny. Who fit? Maybe they can't collect my own.
Yeah. If you collect yourself, can you cope with it?
Oh.
So here we are now, looking back at decades of work, art, activism, and all of that. And there are so many questions in my head. One of my favorite TV shows used to be Candid Camera.
Charly Boy Show.
The Charly Boy Show. The Charly Boy Show, and particularly the Candid Camera of the Charly Boy Show. And when that show stopped, it hit me hard. I know there was some legal, something like that, or something in the news about, I don't remember what was it.
Not really legal. There
was some controversy going on at the time.
There'll always be controversy, but what really actually happened was that it lacked sponsors. I did Charly Boy Show for 14 years of my life. And for the 12 years of that, I was basically sponsoring the show myself, So when it was really getting intense and it was becoming draining for me, how do you explain to all your cast and crew that, even though I was sponsoring the show from my pocket, but how do you explain to them that no money they here? Which was why I lived for the Charly Boy Show, when we will all come together, put heads together, and start doing all this. Skit making started from Charly Boy Show.
I agree.
The skit making you're seeing today, now there I start now. You understand? So, yeah, I think Guinness, one big corporation, came at the last minute, I think on the 12th year of the show, because it went on for 13 years. And that was why I quickly had to reinvent something else, which was Zoom time. And Zoom time was what really, really paid my bills. Yeah. Because people were paying me crazy money, like about 60, 80 million to talk to them. Because we touted the show as publicity for, of course, the governors, the ministers, the presidents, and, things like that. Because there must have been very few people I hadn't spoken to. we will come to your house. We don't have any studio. You don't come to us. We come to you.
Wherever you are.
And you better have your cash ready, you know. So we were sneaking into all these homes on the pretense that we want to do publicity, we want to get people to know what you're about and what you're doing. But of course, it doesn't stop me, as usual, Charlie boy, from asking you satanic questions. Questions that people really would like to know. Are you a thief? And you know my partner Tunde Obe, he was always smiling, always laughing. I was the one who was just waiting to see a slip or hear a slip, and I'll get in and ask those devilish questions.
They're playing good cop, bad cop.
Yeah, good cop, bad cop. You know the drill. So when the interview initially starts, they don't know what we have up our sleeves. They're comfortable because they're in their office, they're in their homes. They say, oh, these kids, they won't have to fly. We've done one or two, I think about 2 presidents, I won't mention their name. They didn't pay us because after the interview, they wanted us, me in particular, to show them what was going out. They wouldn't even do zoom, zoom, zoom that everybody does. So when I asked one of them to do zoom, he said, no, I can't do zoom. Saying don't do them. We went back to the studio. Zoom, 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 zoom. Duplicated.
I can't do zoom. I can't do zoom, zoom, zoom.
You got it.
Yeah, you guys are horrible.
Oh yeah, I know. We were at the time.
Because you mentioned politics, so let's even go there now. All sorts through the years. For a person that's forthright and who says it, even when they don't have to. I wonder how you survived childhood, how you have survived this long.
I don't know.
But you've had all sorts over the years. I remember the Abuja, I think, was it 2017?
There have been so many.
They don't beat you over for this.
Apart from Fela,
Yeah.
the next artist where police or army or nobody will ever beat me for this country. You understand? NDLA, they don't beat me. Meanwhile, now me do their say no to drug campaign. They no finish, won't pay me my money. Just because, then I was wild and crazy, I admit. Okay? I'm no longer the same because I'm very, very measured now. And that is why people like you must read 999, my new book, my memoir. Okay? I didn't hold back anything. All the stealing I don't do, all the bad things I don't do for this life, they're all there. And then, of course, a lot of good things that I did, I managed to do. They're all in that book. You understand? So, like I keep telling people, I don't go into a room to go and sing. I like to sing in the market square. So everybody... if you too much, my own singing too much, and then you can tell me something to convince me to change direction, I will. Because as I talk to young people, I also listen when they talk back to me. And that is why I've maintained for all these years that the salvation of this country lies in the hands of its exceptional people. Who are those people? They are young people. And I thank God I don't meet in my life youths who have also helped me grow.
When I hear this meme sound now, our mumu never too much, mumu, all it reminds me of the our mumu don't do campaign.
Yes.
This was 2017, which 2017 was a pretty difficult year for you. Most of that happened in Abuja. On one time, on one occasion, I think you even lost consciousness or something like that.
They tear gassed us. They threw the canister right under my foot, and I inhaled a whole lot of it. Yeah. At one point, we went to Wuse Market to take the campaign there. I was nearly butchered in Wuse Market.
Yeah, by the locals.
Yes. So many horrible things have happened to me. And that's why I say there's a reason why I'm still alive. That's all I can deduce from all of this crap that has happened around me. Because I'm not supposed to be alive. Even when you do read my book and you read my American experience, because that was my first independence I ever had in my life. I've always been under my parents' shadow, and I never liked it. I never liked to be introduced as the son of so. And I didn't even know that there was a silent competition between my father and I. I didn't even know. Because I wanted to outdo him. I was choking.
The legendary Justice Oputa.
Yeah. I was choking under his larger-than-life image. And I just wanted my own. That was what led me to becoming Charly Boy.
I can imagine. I mean, you are not an only child.
No, I'm not. Though a lot of people think I am. My father had two. I had an elder brother and an elder sister. When my papa don't born or before he married my mama. Even after he married my mama, to tell you how bad my father was in those days. They take I see woman. He had two more, but when you come close to the family, say, nobody the same mama born us. Yeah.
And look, there is Justice Oputa and there is Charles Oputa. Those are the two names people know. So one way, going your own way, paid off, no doubt. Going back to the political side of things, as a fallout, I mentioned 2017. There was that Mumu Don't Do thing. There was the one you were at war with President Buhari then that he should come back home. I think he was spending so much time. I can't remember what you called it.
Resume or resign.
Resume or resign. Yes, resume or resign. And these things got you into all kinds of problems. The apparatus of power dealt with you. And you eventually sued the government, right? For what? For
I sued the Nigerian police now.
Yeah, 500 million.
I won that case.
You won the case?
Yeah.
You were awarded 50 million.
You know so much.
You didn't pay you that money.
Who won? People where they stand for road, they collect 2,000 and they won't pay me that money. They don't pay me that money.
And they were made to apologize to you. Did you get the apology?
They apologized under the table. They didn't apologize publicly. But I say, well, I have bigger fish to fry. So why waste time with all these Momo people? I moved on.
So and you would know, you are the son of a legal luminary. Do the courts of law not have the necessary instruments to enforce?
Listen,
that the judgment passed is carried out.
Before my father died, we used to have heated arguments. And I'll be saying to my father, I say, see, things are no longer the way they used to be. My father never believed. I said, don't rush into conclusions. Say now, one or two people, bad eggs. There are always bad eggs everywhere. I said, this don't pass bad eggs. The justice system is going down. It's going down. And he will always say, have faith. Look at it now.
What were your honest personal thoughts about the whole Justice Oputa panel? Did you even bother to follow?
I felt my brother and my friend, Olusegun Obasanjo, he did well to institute the Oputa panel, but the job wasn't finished, because what about all the recommendations that were made? I didn't see any zeal to see it through, because the Oputa panel helped all of us to understand these were the things, the underground things that were going on that we didn't even know. It exposed a lot of things, and it would have been that one committee that would have been able to get us a little bit more united than we presently are, if the thing was done and to a reasonable conclusion. And that's where I blame Baba OBJ for not being able, at least a lot of the proposal that they came up with would have been implemented at the time.
How much worse have things become since then, from your estimation?
Say?
How much worse have things become since then, from your own personal estimation?
I know if you talk. It's so sad. I swear, honestly, sometimes I just cry. I don't cry for myself because I have few years to... I don't care how healthy people think I am. But I go weak, my toe go the face like this one go the face like that. I don't even understand what's happening in my body. But thank God, I'm always checking, But where the Nigeria youths are right now is frightening, and I'm hoping that, I know everybody's scared, especially young people. They're scared about their future. They're scared about what's going to become of this country. But I keep saying that if nobody use, then who? We're old now. My body can't do what it used to do 20, 30 years ago. I don't care how put together or how healthy I look. I can't do those same things. So if my whole hope is not on young people, where are I supposed to put her? Now, people who don't die, or now these criminals who fool everywhere that are not going to ever stop their greediness. Never. Tell me all that money that they are hustling to steal. Are they going to, where are they taking it to? Where really are they taking it to? Messing up everybody's life, messing up the future of young people in this country. See how frustration they pepper everybody. When Trump won that election, I was crying, this is a bad deal. Look at what is even happening in your great America today. America is collapsing. I know that leadership globally has fallen to an all-time low, for crying out loud. It's not just happening in Nigeria. It's happening all over the world. The world has gone mad. Okay, just because of this Iran war, no be him with the suffer for fuel price now. Check it.
No insulation anymore.
Nothing. And you start to wonder how young people now, what would their future look like even in the next 1-2 years? Now we won't enter the real suffering. Now we suffering won't start. Because I've seen, it's like a deja vu. I know what led to the Biafra war now. I think I was about 16, 17, thereabout, during the war, Sha. So I know and it's like the same thing is playing back again. And they don't want me to be fearing. I'm afraid. Not for myself. I will soon close shop now. And they wait for ticket, but I have my boarding ticket anyways. Wait for the flight announcement, and I'm off. But what happens to my children? Okay, you can imagine, as old as I am now, I should be surrounded by my pikin them. We don't, because I have grown-up kids, yeah? But none of them want to come back. Now I find myself in my old age alone. Is that a good thing? It can't be now. When I need love, when I need my children, even for them to call to just ask how far, no problem. Because they have their own life too, which they must live. And they must do well because they have a father like Charly Boy. So they can't afford to, they know my story, so they can't afford to F up. You know, so, but I thank God, my brother, on all the things I'm grateful to my father. I forever remain grateful to him. Because if nobody the way we take handle me, maybe I for loss. You understand? I didn't realize at the time what he was trying to do. I was young, immature, and stupid, But as I sit back and reflect, he was a good father. And it was all he knew that he taught me. If he teach me the ones way, no. And he instilled, because of him, I don't have respect for money. Because my father wasn't even a rich person. He didn't have money like that. He just depended on his salary. I go get money if no only salary the job. He was not like an entrepreneur. He was a professional career person. Okay? But there was never any time I saw my father and he was sad about anything. In fact, a lot of people used to come to visit him, to solve. I'll see two people wanting to kill themselves. And then they will go before my father. They came to settle problem. They go before my father. As soon as they come out, they're all smiles, they're all hugging. And I keep asking, what think this man they do them when they go inside that room? All of these and a lot more that you read in my 999. I now started to look at my father in a different light, So he made me, because I was stuffed. It remained for my papa to break my head, carry all the Julius Caesar and everything put inside. So I become, that picture.
Yeah.
You understand? So I'm coming from, I tell people, I come from a good place, a place of love, a place of warmth. Because even when I saw my mother and my father fight, argue, in the evening, we are all summoned to the sitting room, watching them dance. They love to dance. So I didn't come from want. I didn't come from a place that is jagra. So I have no reason to be any other person than who I am, that quiet, humble person that I should be. I was brought up to be. Easy. Am I making you tired? Or
No.
You're just
you're
overwhelmed with information. Is that what it is?
You're making me ponder, to be honest
Ponder.
with you.
Ponder about what?
So, generally, from the things I know, the ones that, I never knew, there are so many questions. Every time you say something, like 1,000 questions, and then you say something else, another question, and which one is I'm trying to pluck which question to ask you.
I know.
But just sticking to it, I was also pondering that a lot of people still think you and your dad were so You were sworn enemies, and to hear you
Yeah.
speak of the man like this,
Yeah.
and all
We
of
used to be.
Yeah,
We used to be.
of
Listen,
course. Ideologically, you were different.
Yeah, I was. We're different? I don't think so.
I mean, ideologically.
Okay, that's.
Anyway, it's a different conversation. So let me.
Oh shit! I lost my train of thought.
So let me rephrase. The question is how people think that you and your dad were sworn enemies to the
I
end.
remember now what I wanted to say. I was the first person who disowned my parents.
Yeah,
Straight up.
yeah. It was really,
People thought it was the other way around.
it was
no,
public.
I disowned them. No, the public thought that they disowned me.
Yeah.
But what really happened was that I disowned them. See, when I came back from America, of course, they already had a job for me. They wanted me to finish the youth corps first. Yeah, I don't finish. Then my father summoned me to his room one day and said, "Here is a letter. Go to Port Harcourt. Go to Mobile Exxon," something like that. It was an oil company.
ExxonMobil.
Yeah. And, give so person this letter. Be ready. You will start work 2 or 3 days after. That thing hit me like a thunderbolt. And I said to him, well, we didn't discuss this. Nobody has asked me what I really want to do. So he got, here we go again. Okay, what do you want to do?
Oh, Papa.
And I said, I want to be my own person. I said, what does that mean? What's your own person? I said, I had to think, I didn't even know what I wanted to do. Yeah? But I didn't want to work for anybody.
All you knew was what you didn't want to do.
Yeah. So what came out of my mind, out of my mouth was, I want to be in show business. I want to be a musician. Hey, if you see the way my papa face fall, it was like he's lost everything in this life.
Where did I go wrong?
Yeah. Because I come from a very large clan of the Oputas. We're about almost after the Nzeribes, we're a big clan. None of my people don't ever go into entertainment now. When you finish your university or you get your degree, you go and work. Everybody went to work. Now this one is the one telling me
So follow
they want to do musician.
Or sit house. I did
So
it.
you can imagine how they felt really bad. So, but what God did for me was that I think it was about 2 months after that incident that they called me up to go and get ready and go and start work. They made my father a Supreme Court judge. So he came to Lagos. Guess where I went?
Tell me.
I went back into the village. I didn't have money, no car, no nothing. I had nothing.
Village? Why?
Why? Because that's the only place I can see accommodation where I no go pay. As I no get money. And now for inside that village, now inside that village, the way where I take survive, I was selling pepper soup and beer and drinks. I get a small bukaso where people, they come, they patronize. Yeah? And then one guy, one angel at the time, maybe they look for something for my papa and I don't know, came to visit me in that place, that my apartment in the village, and decided, he said, don't worry, I'll talk to your father. I said, no, you don't need to talk to my father about anything. Then he now started asking me, okay, so you really want to do this thing? I said, yes. The next thing I see, the man write check for, I think it was almost $30,000 at the time. Say, go buy your equipment. That's how musician take form. If not be that man. But guess what? I stayed in the village for six more years before I was able to move from that village. When they come Lagos from the village, an attachment, what they use, luxurious bus. Come, nothing got me. I remember during those 6 years, I had sent my wife back to America. Go find work. Because when I die, me will never see poverty for my life. So the poverty tie rapper, they look me and they look am. Those were what happened in that 6 years in the village. It's in my book, 999, till another angel came that I had accidentally met in Lagos at Tabansi, in front of Tabansi's record. I was Tina, the late Tina Onwudiwe. Yes, the African Oyubo. Like I said, my wife went to America to work, see if she could sense more money. I know she should no kobo came, by the way. So here I was in the village, rotting away. Was even wondering, is this the path I should take in life? My father always say, you're not going to get anywhere with this. Was he really right? Until Tina came. And then he was like, I don't know. He gave me another lease of life. I now started to see hope for what it is I told myself I wanted to do with myself. It was all Tina. Tina was the first person who gave me that mohawk look. Tina was the first person who bought the first big motorbike for me. Wow. Yeah. And then Charly Boy went from the sissy look, because people at that time was comparing me with Boy George. But I had started before Boy George.
Before Boy George,
yeah. So, and that really got on the wrong side for Tina. Tina said, oh, she changed. Me, you they look like woman. You they wear makeup, you no get car, no AC. And so my makeup, they run in those days. Because Natazia, they hop around. You understand? Till Tina, we just sat down and said, you know what? We're done with this. Let's do a more masculine thing. So that's how the woman took me on to one salon one morning. So yeah, cut here, paint here red, do this, do that. I was looking at myself. I couldn't believe who I turned out to be in just less than an hour. And that's how the real Charly Boy started. Some story.
Powerful story. And like you said, we saw it in the book, 999. I was wondering, why did you title your memoir 999?
Simple. 999 is the number of angels. That's number one. Number two, 999 simply means the end of something and the beginning of something new. I believe, like you can see here, because everything you had asked me before the interview, whether my tattoos mean something, I say every bit of them. This is a butterfly, right? In my language, a butterfly means ududu bariba. That's what it means, a butterfly. And you know, the butterfly is the most fragile and delicate insect.
Yeah, true.
I believe my life has been so fragile and delicate. You know, the butterfly also goes through a lot of metamorphosis before it becomes a full butterfly.
Yeah.
I also believe that in my life, I've been through, I don't see 99. This is my last stage of spiritual development. Yeah, so this is a new beginning, because the things that used to trip me, even 2 years ago, no longer trips me now. Now, all I crave for is to be at peace with myself. I don't like noise. I don't like shouting, but I can move in and out of noise. So when you come to visit me, my house is so quiet.
Yeah.
Everywhere is calm. And most of the time, I'm sleeping anyway. Except I have to be in one board meeting or the other. But I'm sleeping. I love to sleep. So I don't bother myself with anything. Because there's no be like say I dey look for money. Even though I no get. But I know sabi rush money like that. So if I go die poor, make I die poor. It doesn't matter. But what really matters to me is you see all those values that were installed in me from my father. I'm ever so grateful. Because all the time I was doing my rebelling against all of these things he was trying to teach me. You can't imagine. That's the same thing I went back to. Wow. The irony of life.
It's powerful. I thought it was important to ask a question about the book. Because this book sums your life, everything, and all of that. It would be a treasure trove of information, no doubt. I was just wondering, especially in this part, and people see it like Charly Boy again. Which one is 999? Is it an inversion of 666?
I've been asked that quite a lot, especially on my platforms. I say, when I see something, I won't twist and turn up. I don't tell you 999. What? How did 666 manage enter? My brother, see my problem. I've explained it's 999. I've told you what 999 stands for. And I believe at this point in my life, I'm in another different planet and phase of my life. If I knew that there was this phase coming, if I don't slow down a little bit to meet up, to wait till this time. Because it was like I went through life with the speed and velocity, and I still keep saying, thank God I'm still alive to tell this story.
And that explains it. Like the end of a cycle, 9 ends the cycle of single digits, and then 99 ends the double. 999 ends the triple and moves to 2023. You are really very vocal about the political upheaval of that time. It's still on record that you did not keep quiet. You were, about your thoughts and impressions about the election, about the governance and all of that. You really went in hard against this current government. And somehow, I don't know, what was the fallout of that for you on a personal level, other than the fact that, there was a
lot of people avoided doing business with me because of where they felt I stood, And, I could take that, because I can't help but be myself. I mean, that's so pretty obvious. I've never before now, I've never lined up behind anybody in my life. But as I heard all the messaging, saw all the things that this particular guy is all about, and the fact that I'm talking about P2B, and the fact that I came into his space and I was able to see him from a close distance. I was happy that at least I know Nigeria is blessed with very special, intelligent people, but we have allowed corruption, criminality, Because this country, as it stands right now, is a crime scene. They say APC, Association of Past and Present Criminals. You know. So I look at it with so much pain in my heart. I can't begin to even. How can a country so blessed, a people so blessed, can be ruled by such a useless bunch of criminals? How can the worst of us lead the best of us? There's something so abnormal about that. So this is not a conversation that gladdens my heart. You know, we've had a good talk so far. I don't think we should bring, though politics is important, because even like I tell young people, it's important to be at the table when decisions are made about your future, you see. But like I've retired my faith to young people in this country, and that's why I'm also lining up behind them, especially the outstanding and the exceptional Nigerian youths. I don't know which thing again I fit do, except now just to kill myself because of how it pepper me rich. I don't know what else to do. So I'm banking and I'm counting on you people, the Nigerian youths, because the only salvation that I see moving forward. It's unfortunate that the young people, they don't even know the kind of power they possess. It's frightening. And it's like, I have to whip everyone. Can't you wake up? Can't you see this? You know? So I've retired myself to faith. Now on our hands we're there. I know that somehow, we all have fucked up. Truth be told. Oh yeah, now, who never fuck up? Make you raise your hand. I know somehow, maybe I could have done more than I did when I had the opportunity to do. I don't know, but I can't live forever blaming myself about the situation, because not me bring them upon Nigeria.
Yeah, Father. I mean, I feel you, and like they say, history judges everyone, and history remembers those who took up positions, had opinions that were unpopular at the time, and at great personal costs and risk. Your ways have never been conventional. You've never been a conventional guy. You've done what you needed to do when and how. And I'm just thinking, because 2027 is just a year away now. One of the things recently, even the bus stop named after you was changed for whatever the reason. Although people still call it Charly Boy, they still call it Charly Boy. All of that. I'm wondering, and this will be my last question, and so I'm going to ask you 2 or 3 questions in one, because 2027 is you seemed excited about a particular person in 2026. Do you feel that kind of excitement going into 2027? And then, very importantly, what do you fear most when you think about Nigeria? What keeps you up at night, and what gives you hope?
What keeps me up? What I fear most is this criminal enterprise taking over everything. Because I know that most empires like the American one, is falling. There's negativity all over the globe. So I'm afraid of these demons that are masquerading as human beings. These rulers who have no love for the people, I'm afraid of them. But I want, because all I have moving forth and living my life in peace is hope that tomorrow will be much better than my today. And that is why everything still boils down to the great, outstanding, exceptional youths of this country. They're not just only domiciled in Nigeria. They're all over the world doing great things, bringing accolade, respect to this Poto area. So my hope is that one day, putting it in clear terms, the shit will hit the fan and they'll sort of discover the capacity that they have and then be ready to do something about all of this. That's my only hope.
In the meantime, as you look ahead at 2027, what do you see?
There's going to be a lot of confusion. There will be more hunger. There'll be. Remember, I'm the president of frustrated Nigerians. I know what it is out there on the street, and it's going to get uglier. We have not yet hit rock bottom. We have not yet hit rock bottom. So you can imagine what our rock bottom would look like. But nothing lasts forever. So if even this suffering cannot last forever. I say, Nigerians are resilient people. Yeah. Until you've pushed them so much to the wall, they have to fight back. They need to come back at the oppressors. That's the only way. That's the only way I see.
It's been such a pleasure talking to you, Area Father.
Same here.
I can't wait to sink my teeth into your book because I can just imagine what that book will uncover and all of that. So it's already. When is it available? Is it available yet?
We're launching on the 31st of July.
Oh, of July.
Yes.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
We better be talking about that. And again, I can't, I guess in the build up to October 1st, it will be in everybody's
October
1st, so. That'll be your country's independence.
Okay.
I remember you were.
Okay. Are we independent, really?
Well, is anybody really? I mean, you talked about the American empire seemingly crumbling and all of that. Sometimes, what do you think comes next? Do you even think about that?
Anyway, thank God. I said I've already bought my boarding. I already have my boarding pass. Just waiting for flight announcement. But that doesn't stop me from worrying about all the people, my loved ones that I'm leaving behind, that I will eventually leave behind. But, the world, as the world turns, So...
You're hoping that it will be gone and you won't have to see the coming great tribulation.
I would have loved to see it. I would have loved to feel that somehow, no matter how small, that I contributed to something shifting, something changing. But it's God's will. I mean, if I don't live till then, I just pray for a better future for young people in this country.
And on that note, I want to say thank you again for sitting down.
Thank you for having me. Fantastic. And for dragging all these things out.
Thank you for talking to me
outside
the box.
Thank you.
Well done.
Thank you.
Thank you.